What is Dimagi Naxal? Why this term has been used? What makes it controversial? And is this something new, something real, or just a political description? Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to talk about a term that has cropped up in just 3 days, Dimagi Naxal. This term was picked up when PM Modi made a remark about that how we are seeing ideological backers in recent time coming up as a threat to national security, and this is when he was trying to highlight that how the Maoist influenced Naxalite armed rebellion is largely gone. So when we look at left wing extremism, that has dialed down, but something new is cropping up, and that was the start of this word, that is Dimagi Naxal. Now the moment that term came into the picture, immediately there was a lot of fire from the opposition, and there has been rather a clarity that has been given by Minister Kiren Rijiju that when we are talking about the term Dimagi Naxal, it doesn't refer to the opposition. We are very specific and descriptive that what does it mean? It means somebody who supports the Maoist ideology, who rejects Indian constitution, who stands with separatists or supports Article 370, or who wants to cut chicken neck corridor to separate northeast from India. So basically any sort of separatist tendency in terms of ideology, the support that has been labeled by this term. But the question here is, if somebody ideologically is dissentive of the government, they don't like the work, they want to voice it, can they easily be labeled with this and put on the other side? So when we are looking in this context, so first thing that you have to understand here that this is not a legal term. This is not a term that has a description. What we are talking up and until now is purely political. This is being said, but it doesn't mean it means that. And in the satirical way, there has been emergence of a Dimagi Naxal party, just like we saw the emergence of Cockroach Janata Party. The moment CGI made the remark about the cockroaches in our country, it was taken, understood, and dissent was shown in the form of Cockroach Janata Party. So here, the dissent against the usage of term Dimagi Naxal has also propped up. But that brings us to question that who exactly is this, what exactly is this, and if this is actually problematic or not. For that we have to break down this term, and the moment we break it down, you get to hear the word Naxalism. So when we are looking at Naxalism, you have to understand both of these terms are not at all related. These are two very different terms. First, we have to understand Naxalism. Naxalism is a militant, far left movement in India which has the ideology of armed uprising to overthrow the government. This is not something that is new, that has affected India since 1960s. We have seen the demolishment of this ideology in our country largely in last decade itself, but the emergence and the peak has also throttled India in bad way. Can you tell me in the comment section which West Bengal particular region is known for giving the name Naxalism? When we are looking at left wing extremism, this is something historical. To an extent it is ongoing, even though the form and the intensity of it has diminished, and it still has armed groups in our country. For example, using UAPA, this particular act, we have banned CPI Maoist as a terrorist organization, and the ideology itself supports the use of violence and armed struggle. And because of this threat, the idea of overthrowing government, the kind of attacks that have happened not just on civilians but on armed forces as well, the ideology of Naxalism is seen from the lens of security, what threat it has, and also it is a big counter-insurgency issue. Now what government has a tool to monitor and control it? It is UAPA. What is UAPA? Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and the government uses this to ensure that this ideology and the movement that comes with it is not a threat to our country in any form. But when we come to Dimagi Naxal, the word that has been used, it has nothing to do with Naxalism. Let's understand that this is just a political phrase. No legal definition is there, no ideology behind it. The only thing we can make of it that it probably refers to ideological support and propagation that people show. So this is where we have to connect it, that where it might be connected to 2 points, and I have 2 dimensions here that we probably might be able to connect this with. First, we have urban Naxalism. Second, we have intellectual Naxalism. So basically, when we are talking about intellectual Naxalism, you have to understand, again, this is a political label. It is not a legally defined category, no proper definition to this particular ideology exists. It basically tells you that there is an individual. If I am saying that this person is an intellectual Naxalist, that individual is basically ideologically and intellectually supporting the Maoist or Naxalite ideology. Not in actions, but in thoughts, he supports. And when we are looking at urban Naxalism, this is a way broader concept than intellectual Naxalism. We are looking at, it is basically the urban support ecosystem of Maoist organization. Now, why it is separate? Because when we are talking about left wing extremism and Naxalism, this is something that has been dominant in the regions which are underdeveloped, which are rural, which are remote. And that is when you look at the red corridor in our country, which pretty much does not exist anymore, you will find that these are the region which were least developed, they were remote, tribals could be easily brainwashed, and this is the region where this ideology has operated. But in recent times, what we are seeing, that there is an ecosystem evolving of urban support to these organizations, and that is what is being referred to as urban Naxalism. So can we say that term is related to any of these? Probably yes, probably no. Why? It's a political term. A lot is involved in that. All we need to focus on understanding conceptually if it actually means something, and if yes, what kind of threat it includes. So in this context, I hope you are clear that what exactly is this term. Now coming to the part if it is a problem or not. Now for that we have to see it in 2 dimensions. First, the security concern, the part of it, and second, to which it is related. So when we are looking at the security concern part, you have to understand that the government has long argued and also explained that Maoist organizations, they do not only operate from armed cadres which are present in forests and villages. They also have a very active urban network. Using this, they do the propaganda, they recruit, they mobilize, they bring in the logistics, they get the legal assistance. And based on this, when we are talking about CPI Maoist, this political organization was banned under this very umbrella. But when we are looking at these terms, be it urban Naxal, intellectual Naxal, when you are talking about Dimagi Naxal, all of these, they are not a legal category. This has been clarified by Ministry of Home Affairs in Parliament itself. So in this context, when we are looking at use of any act, be it UAPA, it becomes legit unapplicable. So the danger, if and at all present, it is again with how, if Maoist organizations are gaining strength, they can be an internal security risk. But when we are looking at critique, when we are looking at dissent, all of that cannot be labeled under any new given category. Because that is a right to dissent, right to tell that we have the right to freedom and expression. And all of this is given as a fundamental right to us. So the distinction needs to be remained, and that distinction has been the biggest problem in terms of not just national security, but also internal security. And on the other side, we have our fundamental rights. I hope we have a fair amount of clarity on this. Now let us move to the last section where I just want to discuss that when we are talking about this term, why it became such a controversy. So first thing that we have to understand that because this term has no meaning at all. This term does not have a given definition. It can assumed in any form, in any manner by any side. That creates confusion, that creates chaos, but at the same time, if the interpretation is not in the right manner, then it creates also controversy. For example, how our ex-finance minister has called himself that I am a proud Dimagi Naxalite. So in this context, it does gain a lot of controversial movement because of the confusion, and that is where it also has the risk of being weaponized. and it is being weaponized as of now. Apart from that, this very lack of clear definition brings the comparison and the debate if we are allowed to dissent. If we are dissenting, will we be marked as an ideological Naxalist? Will we be marked as Dimagi Naxalist? Or on one side it is extremism. Then because there is no legal definition, who covers it, who doesn't, if there is any problem? And the biggest thing that led to the controversy is the irony of this debate. That when we are talking about it itself, it is an ideological discussion, intellectual discussion. Is the irony of the debate. This debate is coming at the time when the left wing extremism, Naxalism in our country is at the weakest. The data from Ministry of Home Affairs clearly shows that if we compare to 2010, the incidents have seen a sharp decrease by 90%. And this calls out for understanding that why are we talking about this? What does it contain? There are certain concepts that we should know, the internal security concerns that we should know, but if it is just a political rhetoric, then probably it is something that is just there to create chaos and controversy. Now on this note, I'll be ending today's session. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. I'll be leaving you here with a prelims practice question, a very simple one. I'll be waiting for your answers in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.